Got it.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. And I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Michael Longford. I'm the Graduate Program Director for Digital Media. And I welcome you. Sorry about that. The YouTube live stream was jumping in. So I just want to say hello and welcome you all. We look forward to hearing from Alain Thibault, who has kindly agreed to join us this afternoon. And I just want to begin by saying this talk is part of a digital media speakers series hosted by the Department of Computational Arts, the Graduate Program in Digital Media, and Sensorium, the Institute for Digital Arts and Technologies here in AMPD. Before we begin, it's my pleasure to do the land acknowledgement. So I would just like to say now that we are all grateful and recognize the many Indigenous nations that have long-standing relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located and that precede the establishment of York University. The university acknowledges its presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. The area known as Tekaronto has been caretaken by the Nishnabek Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat, and it is now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and this territory is subject of the Dish with One Spoon, Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region, for which we are very grateful. In addition, we in the Department of Computational Arts and AMPD would also like to acknowledge the virtual networks on which our activities and gatherings are sited, which are the product of Silicon Valley and the Zoom headquarters, which are located on the Muwekma and Ohlone territories. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Alain Thibault. For more than 2 decades, Alain has worked as a curator and artistic director in many fields of digital contemporary art, electronic music, and sound art. He's the founder of 2 major events in Montreal that many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with. One is ELEKTRA, the annual festival showcasing performances in digital art since 1999, and more recently, BIAN, the International Digital Art Biennale, which is oriented towards exhibitions, installations, and public art since 2012. In addition, Alain is also an electronic music composer, and his works have been presented throughout the local and international scene in several contexts, namely contemporary music and digital art festivals in North America, Europe, and Asia. So it was a great pleasure that I turn over the floor, or the screen, if you will, and welcome Alain Thibault. Thank you, Alain, for joining us this afternoon.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Yes. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to make a. So everything's fine. ELEKTRA. So I'm the founder of this festival. So as you could see, I'm a musician, but so I became the artistic director of this organization, who was producing electronic music concerts in Montreal. And when I became the artistic director in the mid-90s, I brought visuals into the concerts. And in '99, I founded the ELEKTRA Festival. So at that time, we were talking about electronic arts, and myself, I was much more interested to connect with the electronic art scene, mostly. That was really emerging in Europe than the electroacoustic music scene. So as you can see, our mission is to present contemporary art, but contemporary art using new technology. And we have 5 main activities. So the festival, ELEKTRA, since 99, the International Digital Art Biennale since 2012, the International Marketplace for Digital Art. We have a gallery now, and we are entering into the virtual through the ELEKTRA Virtual Museum. So since 99, ELEKTRA Festival was mostly focusing on live performance. We did a lot of audio-visual performance, AV performances, robotic performance, live performance, etc., etc. So we have a view of Usine C, which is this wonderful venue in Montreal where we were able to hold the festival. Here you have a laser performance by Edwin van der Heide from Netherlands. The Biennale. So around 2009, 2010, I became a bit bored by the performance. So, and I found that the artists that were evolving most in doing installations, exhibitions, all that were much more, how can I say, innovative. So I convinced the contemporary visual art community in Montreal to federate them around digital. And so in 2012, I created the Biennale in Montreal. So the Biennale then in 2012 and 2014 were presented all around the city. So we were working with the big museums in Montreal, smaller galleries, artist center, etc. So, and in 2016, we moved to Arsenal Contemporary Art, which is a private space that was renovated by art collectors. It's located in Griffintown, and which was a good move because we were able to really have a venue, a place to really. So the Biennale had its own identity and exhibition as well, instead of being all around the city. So just as we are presently showing an exhibition, so that was the Biennale that was supposed to be presented last year. So we are presenting it this year, and we have an extension until next Sunday. If you are in Montreal, or if you want to come to Montreal, we are there. So this is the teaser. Voilà. We have a gallery since 2019, so we move in the Myland neighborhood, and in this building there was already 5 or 6 galleries. So we open our own gallery dedicated to digital contemporary art, and the mission is mostly to show emerging Montreal artists in there. So you have a view of the gallery here. Voila. In 2007, I created the International Marketplace for Digital Art. The goal of this activity was to be able to show what the artists from Quebec and Canada were doing to our international guests. So of course, the goal was to be able to disseminate works all around the world through this activity. And we did a couple of international digital marketplace for digital art a bit around the world. For example, in Aix-en-Provence, in France, we did Paris, Brussels, Seoul, etc. And we are also presenting works, Canadian, Quebec works from all around the world. And we have participated to many festivals, exhibitions. For example, there in Aix-en-Provence, Paris, Brussels, London, Rome. We were presenting this specific activity called Digital Quebec, which was sponsored by the Quebec government to showcase the Quebec artists. We have been working with the Canadian Cultural Center in Paris twice, and Hyundai Motor Studio in Seoul. And right now we have an installation in St. Petersburg in Russia. And of course, we have been active on the web, especially during the first confinement. So we were able to get into Google Arts and Culture, where we can put all our exhibitions over there. And we have been also, because of the pandemic, active in virtual exhibitions. So we created 3 virtual exhibitions that were available on the web using a Chrome navigator. And so I'll show you more all this. So our recent highlights, of course, were in 2012, the first Biennale. The theme was Phenomena. The guest country was France. 14, physicality. The Wallonie-Brussels Federation were the guests. 16, automata, art made by machines for machines. So this is, at that time, we moved to Arsenal. Switzerland was our guest. 18, Peter Weibel from the ZKM was our guest curator. The theme was Automata Sing the Body Electric. 19, that was the 20th edition of ELEKTRA. I must say that meanwhile, you know, when we started to present the Biennale, so on the even years, our activities were mostly concentrated around exhibition, and on the odd years, we were coming back with ELEKTRA, and ELEKTRA became much more identified to performance. And 2020, that was supposed to be the 5th Biennale with Duan Choi. She was our guest curator from Seoul, and the guest region was East Asia. So I'll show you some pictures from our different activities since the beginning. So Motion Control Model 5 from granular synthesis was quite a classic all around the world. It was presented everywhere, I would say. Quite an experience. And right at the beginning, we were quite interested by multi-screen performance. So this is a piece I did with one of my collaborators in Montreal, Yann Breleux, in 2000, 2001. We had UVA, Herman Colgan from Montreal, Ryoji Ikeda, which is very well known. We had him many times at ELEKTRA. All the people from the Rasternoten Berlin label, Karsten Nicolai, Olaf Bender, Frank Brettschneider. We had Japanese artists. We had Atom also, which is also on the Rasternoten label. So I'll show you a little clip from him.
From nation to nation, Gaga, Gomez, Timberlake, give us a fucking break. Stop, imperialist pop. Stop, imperialist
Sorry for the bad word. Um, so another piece I did with Mathieu Biderman, another artist from Montreal, multiple screen. Another piece and laser performance by Edwin van der Heijden at Prism C. An excerpt. Voilà. Another laser performance by a trio from Montreal. So this was presented in Aix-en-Provence. Laser performance on a pool. We presented a couple of robotic artworks from this trio from Germany, ZKM. This famous piece by Max Dean, a Toronto artist, the robotic chair. So I'll show you. So maybe many people knows that piece, that this chair that rebuilt itself. I'll show you a video taken in 2008 at UNC, but at 8 times the speed, just to show you that yes, it works. Voilà. The Taylor Girls by Louis-Philippe Demers, another Montreal artist. A live performance, so a live performance by Bill Vaughan, another robotic artist from Montreal. This piece is interesting. It's a performance we showed in 1994 by Stellar. This performance, Stellark was receiving voltage on his body on different points, so all his movements were involuntary. So it's a piece of anthology 1994. So I wanted to show you that piece as well, to show you where we're coming from. This piece, so I should, maybe it's a trigger warning. There will be some nudity. I'm sorry, I should have said that before the beginning of my presentation. So I will show you an excerpt from 2001 of Istvan Kantor. Istvan Kantor is an artist based in Toronto. So the piece is called Sex Machine and Filling Cabinets. So he was using a lot of Macs to control the videos and the sound with the filling cabinets. Another Toronto, Ontario-based artist, Gordon Monahan, Speaker Swinging, which was one of his classic performance. All kind of performances from France, Rossio Berenguer, Ernest Doss from France as well, Labo from Brussels, 1024 Architecture from France, a little excerpt. Karsten Nicolai and Olaf Bender with this Japanese performer, Myriam Blot from Montreal with her tops, spinning tops. Nicolas Bernier, another artist who was building his own instruments. This performance by Kodak, which is a duet from Switzerland. So this piece, we have presented this piece at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Montreal. Clicks and Cars, that was a special project with a collective from Brussels using car bodies as loudspeakers. So under each car bodies, there was a vibreur, we say in French, a kind of big vibrators for sound. And the sound was coming from the car bodies. Here, that was 2003. Another installation, again from this duet from Switzerland, Kodak, Cycloid, presented at Fonderie Darling. We were kind of the first one to show an interactive installations in Montreal from Raphaël Lozano-Emer, so at the Museum of Contemporary Art, Frequency Volume. At the end of 2021, we produced this new interactive piece by Montreal-based artist Louis-Philippe Rondeau. It's called Resonance. I'll show you just a little clip of that piece. It's based on slit scan. This is an excerpt from a promo clip that we are doing, presently editing. That was a so we could produce this piece. That was a special program from the city of Montreal to present art downtown, to try to bring back workers downtown. Immersive experiences, so that with Philippe Demers with l'Assemblée in 2001. Projet Eva, that's a duet, Simon Laroche, Etienne Grenier from Montreal, Cinetos. This is a very special sound performance. So the piece has different sections, and of course at the end, all the plates are going down and everybody has to lie on the floor. 2003, this is a 4-screen piece and quadraphonic sound I did with my partner Yann Bruleux. In 2003, also at ELEKTRA, we did this 12-screen piece by Granular Synthesis. I did that piece again with Yann Bruleux in Paris. That was a complete surround screen system in Paris at the Gaîté Lyrique. We worked with SAT, SCT, Société des Arts Technologiques. So we have presented almost every year a program of new works there. This is a piece I did with my friend.
What is the purpose of life?
To something greater.
What is the purpose of living?
To live forever. Maybe the world would not be the same.
SCT has a dome in Montreal, so if you come here, please, they have a program almost all the time presented there. The Ultimate Immersive Experience by Kurt Inschlager. That's a piece we have presented many times as a late night show at ELEKTRA. It's called Feed. This is some pictures from the last presentation we did in 2019. So basically, during half an hour, you're completely surrounded by smoke. You cannot see the person in front or beside you, and the artist really plays with your perception. He plays with 14 strobes to create this very special I must say, mostly visual experience where in which you really don't know if your eyes see something or if it's inside your head. And I must say my personal experience was the first time I said I lived the piece. I thought, yeah, this is what's happening when you die, but I know I'll be alive in 30 minutes. So just a little excerpt. Voilà. Okay, the Biennale, the first Biennale. So the theme was phenomena all around the city. So we had exhibitions a bit everywhere, like this one by Bill Vaughan called DSM-6, based on the Dictionary of Mental Health. Bill is mostly working with robots that has, I would say, problems, health or So Mathieu Biederman at the Cinémathèque. Karsten Nicolai, that was a new piece created at the Museum of Contemporary Art. Using the same setup, you know, he's working a lot with this software called Touch Designer that I'm sure you know from Derivative in Toronto. He did also this performance for us. We had Ryoji Ikea at DHC Art, which called Five Foundation now also. Rifi Canada is quite known this now. So in 2012 we commissioned to him and one of his ex-student a mapping and in 14 we had this exhibition at the Contemporary Art Museum of Montreal. So we were kind of the first to be able to present an exhibition in their main halls. And there was a part of the exhibition that was co-created by Jim Tingley. It was around food. So Robin Moody, Albertan artist, Labo from Brussels, Bill. 16 was really a milestone for us, moving to Arsenal, having our own exhibition, automata, art made by machines for machines. So I'll show you the teaser, the clip. So some images from Arsenal and this exhibition here. Simon from Zurich. Robot Lab. So this is quite an interesting project. We had this robot transcribing the Bible during 1 month. That was a Luther version. Patrick Tresset, so 5 robots named Paul, who makes your portrait. So you have to sit there during 40 minutes, stop. Each robot has its own style. And all the portraits are exposed after. We had Moon and Jiang. These were the artists that were representing South Korea at the Venice Biennale in 2015 with this very magnificent video. I'll show you just an excerpt. So this was a multiple screen presentation in our space, and they took all the South Korean pavilion in Venice. And as you can see, it's a bit inspired by Minority Report. We had Lu Yang. Lu Yang is a Chinese artist from Shanghai, which has a very interesting style, very much inspired by video games. Here we have Alain from France. It was a augmented reality piece. So for every portrait with the app, you can see a different dance made by a 3D version of Alain. Corey Archangel from Brooklyn. This is a very special piece. I will show you an excerpt from the performance this artist from South Africa is doing. So it's inspired by 4 performances by Marina Abramovic. So just a little warning about what I'm going to show you. So this was inspired by one of the Marina Abramovic performance with a knife, of course. Jan Maruzic, a Swiss artist, it's a very special performance. He sweat blue in a heated cage with music and voilà. This robotic piece is very interesting. That was first presented with, it was curated by Jane Tingley at the Museum of Contemporary Art 2 years before. And I wanted to show it again at Arsenal. So a little clip, Orchestrer la perte. So it's a machine that feeds you. We had a weekend of performance at the opening, so Inferno by Bill Vaughan and Louis-Philippe Demers. We presented the full version of that performance with the 24 exoskeletons. Basically, people are wearing those exoskeletons and are controlled by the artist. Just a short clip. So basically, you lose control of the upper part of your body. And it's a good idea to move because of the weight of the exoskeleton. 18, the 4th Biennale. So the theme was inspired by the Walt Whitman poems, I Sing the Body Electric, but I removed the I, so it's Sing the Body Electric. We had Peter Weibel, the artist and director of ZKM in Germany, as a guest curator. The clip.
Chante le
So some views from the opening of the exhibition. So a performance by Kodak, NS DOS from France, installations from Ralph Becker, Tim Void from South Korea, Daniel Rosin from Brooklyn, Projet Eva from Montreal, Caroline Monet from Montreal again, Light Society. So that was one of the highlights of this edition. Whispers. So that's a promo clip. The fifth Biennale, so it's finishing next Sunday. So this exhibition was based on the exhibition that we couldn't open last year because last year we were supposed to open a kind of transitional exhibition in 1st of October, 3 days before everything was closed. So we got the opportunity to present the exhibition at Arsenal this year. So we kept like 60% of what we had last year. And of course, because of the pandemic, everything, the way you have to think about a program is completely different now because shipping is really complicated. It's 2-3 times the cost. People are no more available to fly with the technician, etc. So mostly what we did is to present physical pieces from local artists. We're lucky in Montreal to have good artists and pieces that could travel. I mean, digital pieces like videos, things like that from international artists. In this exhibition, we have a very special piece by Michel Debrun, a Montreal artist who built this very special piece called Sandcastle, Chateau de Sable. That was a commission by the BMO in Toronto from their gallery on the upper floor. Michel had the idea to create a machine to build sandcastles, and sadly, he had to do it. So I'll show you. This clip was made in Toronto, but I with 6 times the speed, just show you that it works. So the concept of the piece is every time there's a tide, the castle is destroyed, the sand is recycled, bring back, and after that a new castle is made, and so there's 2 tides per day. Et voilà, very nice piece. So another view from our exhibitions, Rifik Anadol, Irregular, another interactive piece. David Spriggs from Vancouver. Aram Lee, Exonemo, Irman Colgan, Justine Emar from France, Louis-Philippe Rondeau, Liminal, Hiroichi Kurokawa, Unfold, a 3-screen piece. So that's an example. We built the screens, we bought all the machines to be able to present the piece, and it's in surround, and voila. And of course, during the pandemic, we invested a lot in, we didn't stop, so we decided to to create virtual exhibitions. So we had the opportunity to present 2 exhibitions in Seoul at the Hyundai Motor Studio, and also the goal was to, after that, to create a virtual version of those exhibitions. So I'll show you the 2 exhibitions, and you will see the difference between the 2 and the evolution. So this was the exhibition in Seoul with, so the front screen were from, that's a piece from Matthew Biderman from Montreal, and we had physical pieces from Korean artists. Et voila, that was the reproduction in 3D. Inside, so we had a piece by Justine Emmer, etc. That's the real thing. That's the 3D reproduction. That's the second exhibition, the 3D reproduction we did. This is a picture, a real picture. This is a 3D version of Rifi Canado's pieces, the real thing. Voila. Upper floor with pieces by Haddad Anna, an artist from Vancouver. And also the exhibition that we were supposed to open in October 2020, but couldn't. So we did a virtual version of this exhibition. So those, you can visit those exhibitions using Google Chrome. So it's available on the web. The limitation of that was that for the video pieces, we could only show like 20-30 seconds max of them. So this is a real picture. This is the 3D reproduction, a real picture, reproduction. And we created a demo video. You will see excerpt from all those exhibitions. And voila.
Imagine your museum, your gallery, your exhibitions, accessible to the planet. It is now becoming essential to be visible in this global digital ecosystem. ELEKTRA has acquired expertise and sensitivity in the realistic reproduction of 3D virtual exhibitions. Accessible through the simple use of its browser, visitors can wander at their own pace through the proposed exhibition. Visitors can also access documentation on the artists and their artworks. Over time, your virtual museum will become a place of socialization and encounters between the public and art. Your 3D virtual museum thus becomes a tool for promotion and audience development. ELEKTRA offers you the possibility to digitize your spaces and reproduce your exhibitions designed by your curators. ELEKTRA also offers solutions for the monetization of your artistic activities and investment strategies in the art market. The virtual museum will expand your reputation around the world while promoting knowledge and education. Please visit our exhibitions to convince you of our expertise in this field.
ELEKTRA Virtual Museum.
So this brings us to the idea of creating a real virtual museum, the ELEKTRA Virtual Museum, and without the limitation of we had with the web. So we created an app. We're using the game engine Unreal for that. And we were working with architects to create a museum complex. As you can see it here, there we have 3 pavilions. And the idea also is to present the works in their integrity. So if we have a video piece of 10 minutes, it's there 10 minutes. So an aerial view, one of the entrance inside, pavilion 2. So the pavilion 1 without the roof. Just to give you an idea of what you will see inside. And so this is the museum will be launched at the beginning of March. So this is just a test, a video test. So, but you can move inside the museum. So we have a PC and a Mac application for that. So a couple of images from the exhibition, Rifi Canada. So for the first pavilion, we were relying on pieces we already had and artists we were working with, because it was quite a challenge to be able to present their works in their integrity. So that's a new work, Catherine Dong, with this robot we made in photogrammetry. Another view from the first, second, and third floor. The third floor, so Roichi Kurokawa, the three screens piece, and a view from there. So we made the first promo video of the EVM.
ELEKTRA Virtual Museum. Virtual Museum.
So this is the conclusion of my presentation. Voilà.
Wow, Alain, thank you so much.
So
wow, and perhaps I'll invite people to join us. We're a small enough group that we can have a conversation together, which I think is wonderful. You know, Alain, I'll just begin by just saying a comment. You know, I'm always astounded by the scale and the complexity of the various projects that you undertake, by the work that you're able to bring to Montreal and to other places in the world. And there is in my mind, a kind of thorough commitment from sort of the initial conception of the work through the exhibition of the work, the promotion of the work. I mean, in my mind, there's sort of a complete package here, which I just think is fantastic. And I have to say, it was wonderful to see sort of the last, 10, 15 years of work. ELEKTRA and the other organizations you're working with, you're building a fabulous archive of digital material, of digital artwork. Anyway, I just sort of wanted to congratulate you. And,
thank you.
and,
Thank you.
Just say how fantastic that is, I think, and how lucky we are in Canada and Montreal to have all of this work available for people to see. So I think that's fantastic. I think that there are lots of things that we can dig into here. And certainly at the end there, I feel like you threw us a bit of a curveball, starting to think about the virtual museum. And, so much of the work was, in my mind, it's about engaging with the screen, but it was also about getting off the screen, creating these huge environments. And yet, we find ourselves coming full circle at the end a little bit, in part, perhaps a product of the pandemic and the times we find ourselves, but sort of, re-immersing ourselves in the screen sort of at the end. But anyway, I don't want to necessarily go there right away. So I just want to open up the floor. I'm sure there are people, Kwame is monitoring the chat if people want to ask a question in the chat. And, I also invite you just to turn on your camera and say hello and ask a question as well. So I see there's something there from Hersa Valente. She's asking, will there be physical performances as part of the ELEKTRA exhibition? I assume that's on now, though we only have a week left to get there.
Yes, it's already the third month, but no, we couldn't present performances because of COVID. So, but we were lucky to be still open since Christmas. So for exhibition, so it's really, the environment is really controlled, and yeah. Oui, Jane?
Yeah. So thank you for that great talk. It's so good to see. I didn't know that you'd brought Stellark in the 90s. That was a surprise for me. That's awesome. And I wish I was in Montreal then. I assume that there is another BIAN coming, and I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about what the future looks like. And also if you're going to be doing another MIAN, and just if you could talk a little bit about what's coming.
Yeah. So we're going to present the next Biennale in 2022 because for some reasons we have to stay on the even years. We kind of started the cycle with this idea of metamorphosis. So So maybe it's really, I think we are all living a kind of metamorphosis of our lives in all kind of levels, if you want. So, and I hope things won't be, and I think things won't be the same after that. So the next Biennale will be about metamorphosis, but mobility of human beings, mobility of ideas, mobility of genders, mobility of identities, anything that is moving, and mostly caused by this situation that we are all living. Yeah,
right.
So
and
that's the plan next fall. Yeah.
And is Korea, is the partner still South Korea, or?
Yeah. We're going to work with the same guest curator, Dwayne Choi. She's because everything was so how can I say disturbed.
Yeah.
So and there we still have Korean artists that we were supposed to show that we couldn't show those. So that's the idea. And she's working with us also on the virtual museum. So we are going to have after the opening, we're going to have a second phase we're going to have Asian artists, Canadian artists in the second pavilion, and we're going to have more artists from around the world and from Canada in the third pavilion. She's working with us on this as well, and the idea is with the virtual museum is to each time bring a new complexity, add more interactivity, some pieces. So every time you will open the application, it will connect to the web and something will change. We're going to have procedural or generative pieces as well. So this year, it's really this first version of the museum is really a kind of prototype, if you want. But the idea is to keep this the idea of the virtual museum open for all the next years with its own program and to develop that. And we have many very good ideas around that. So, and we want to add a room for performance as well in the third pavilion. So yeah, it's really it's kind of a research program, but it's quite interesting. Yeah.
No, it sounds really neat. So will it always echo the BIAN and then also have its own programming, or
more or less
its own thing?
Now, right now it's echoing what we're doing, because for how can I say, for prototypage,
Prototype?
So we're prototyping this thing, so we couldn't go for at the beginning so far. Beside the videos in the first pavilion we were showing, the challenge was to have all those videos playing at the same time, to have the Curator with the 3 videos playing during 8 minutes in sync with the sound, to have this robot, the photogrammetry of this robot were really well made and integrated into these installations and things like that. So we're going to add every time one level of complexity and
so exciting.
And see, yeah. And because the first virtual exhibitions we did were made to be seen directly on the web using Chrome, so we use Unity, but we moved to Unreal because we were thinking that Unreal, there was a brighter, how can I say, future with Unreal in terms of quality of animations, visuals, and etc. So, and other things. But of course, we will pursue our physical, nos expositions en présentiel, comme on dit.
Principal exhibition, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more questions, Grace or Kwame.
Yeah, thank you for the very inspiring talk. I really enjoyed being able to see all the work unfold over the decades. And I wondered if you wanted to speak a little to sort of some of the macro trends that you see kind of lately, or how the field is changing.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Oh, sort of like major trends in the work over the years, particularly lately.
The trends?
Mm-hmm.
Transformation, or?
She's just asking if you've noticed any particular trends in the artworks.
Trends. Yeah. So yeah. I really wanted, I wasn't speaking a lot. I wanted to show you what we had presented since '99. It's difficult to say that there's many trends, because if you for example, in the field of AV performance, I think, like, for example, in the first 10 years, from 2010, we had a lot visuals with lines and very geometrical things in the visual, things like that. And after that, now the people are moving to more organic visual stuff. The evolution of the technology also is, of course, giving new ideas to artists. So interaction is you can make interactive works much more easily. So we can see more interesting interactive works. I wouldn't talk about trends, but there's one thing which is important. We make at ELEKTRA, we make a difference between digital art and digital creativity. Digital art is art and digital creativity is more about entertainment. So the thing that we are fighting for these years and a lot in Montreal is to create to show to the people there's art and there's entertainment. Sometimes there's some works that we haven't showed this kind of work that's a bit blurry between those two categories, but we want to make a difference between interactive pieces made by a company, an agency for the whole family to have fun, and work, or if you take, for example, an interactive work made for a museum with an artist that has a démarche and something to say, a bit like, for example, Raphaël Lozano-Henner here. So right now, this is why we're talking about digital contemporary art, and maybe at some point we will dump the word digital to talk about art, because we're living, it's really really in a transition, because there's we still have to try to tell the people in visual art this is real art. Those artists have a démarche, they have something to say, and it's not commercial works. So this is something we are working a lot on right now. So, but in terms of trend, there's pieces and there's a lot of pieces using artificial intelligence right now in different ways. And there's the pieces that are more conceptual, other pieces that are more visuals. So it's very difficult for me to say there is a trend, but we can see it's moving, and it's moving also with the technology, but artists are criticizing, commenting technology also. So this is good. Yeah. Any other questions, comments?
Sorry, Michael Longford, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry, I was just going to say thank you, Alain. And Kwame, I think there was something in the chat.
Yes, this is a question from Ayam Yaldo, and they're just asking if can artists apply, or are they invited?
Both. It's the event is curated, but we receive proposals, and of course all ideas, propositions are welcomed. Yes.
Alain, one of the things I was thinking about was, much of the work, my sense of much of the work is that it could be described as monumental. And
Depends,
maybe I'm thinking more about some of the performance pieces that are, you know, often take place in these large halls, large venues. And some of it's muscular. I would describe some of it as kind of muscular. You know, some of those machines are sort of confrontational in their relationship to the body, perhaps. And I'm just wondering if there was an aspect of that that interested you specifically, or is that something that
So I think, for example, in terms of if we talk about robotic art, it's I think it is a kind of dialogue, confrontation, and at the same time, for example, the performance Inferno, where the people were asked to wear those exoskeletons, is really special, and some people they don't want to experience that piece. Some other people really want, and they are completely ecstatic after the experience. And so it depends how you feel it. You know, you can feel it like something a bit aggressive, or you can go with the machine and have a lot of fun with it. So yes, of course, we showed also, you know, I didn't show everything, just a little portion of what we maybe, and I'm just thinking I forgot to add some other pieces that were much more intimate, or some pieces are difficult to show in this kind of presentations. But we're showing pieces that are also much more, how can I say, smaller, intimate. So yes, we're open to everything, you know. Because, you know, to create programming and a festival or programming an exhibition, it depends. There's many factors, many parameters. You know, first there's the money. Where comes the money? And where comes the money comes with some rules, and you have to sell tickets. You have to bring people. So it's really, you have to take care of many parameters, I would say. So, but I like, especially with the exhibitions, the Biennale, I like the fact that you can have a theme, you can have a conversation about some kind of ideas around the theme. To show pieces from artists. I like to show pieces from artists that are really labeled visual art, and other artists labeled digital art, bring them under one theme. And I have pieces there where you can have fun and you can stay on the first level, but you can, if you want to go deeper, you can go deeper if you want. And some other pieces that could be a bit much more obscure at first sight if you want. But I'm trying to, the idea is to try to balance all that in one place. So yeah, it's quite a challenge, but no, it's fun. Yeah.
No, that's great. And in part sort of addresses something else that Hersa Valente was just asking about, what inspires you when you're thinking about topics. And
yeah, of course, because we're electronic digital art organization. Of course, we are inspired by what's happening in our world. You know, we cannot say that digital didn't have quite an influence on our life. You know, for example, in 2012, if I've chosen phenomena as a theme, was like, hey, wake up, because the digital is really around you. Digital is conducting your life much more than you think, and And pieces like Rio Ikeda were quite a representation of this new kind of I wouldn't say church, but way of thinking, that how the digital is surrounding us, and yeah. And after that, 14, 16 is 14 was much more around physical. It was physicality. Physicality was around the fact that how to deal with this new technology, how to communicate, how to live with machines, but machines taken in its broader sense. 16, art made by machines by machines. I was interested, it was really the emergence of artificial intelligence, especially in Montreal here. And I was interested by the fact, okay, machines, are they able to create art? And in the future, will they be able to appreciate art? So the exhibition was made around this idea. So yes, this is what what is interesting me, and of course it reflects in the themes, and yeah.
That's fantastic. Are there other questions from the group?
Mm-hmm.
Other things that people are thinking about? Kwame?
I do have a question from Felipe, and they ask, would you want to help produce new pieces? And I'm guessing that's more of a question, personal question in terms of, is working with artists to create new pieces something you're interested in?
We don't sponsor new pieces. The artist has to find their own money. There are places for that, and we present the work. So this is where the money goes. This is our mission mostly. And sometimes, of course, we help the artists to get the fundings to create works, or to be able to co-produce works with other organizations from Canada or around the world. Of course, I wish there would be some other ELEKTRAs, one in Toronto, one in Vancouver. I don't see like a McDonald's, but I say organizations like us, to be able to travel around Canada, which is not the case. We have never been in Toronto. We have never showed anything in Toronto, for example. Nor Vancouver. We go to Europe or Asia, which is really a pity. So yes. So there should be more. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say Arsenal has a gallery here as well. So
yeah, but it's 10 times smaller than Arsenal
Yes.
in Montreal. So we're
Right.
quite lucky to have this place. Yeah. It's a good gallery. But in Toronto, it's mostly a gallery.
I have another question, but I wonder if there's anyone else out there who would have a question they'd like to ask. Okay. Well, maybe Alain, I'll just come back to the last project. I know you've started to speak about it a little bit, but given the primacy of corporal engagement with so much of the work that you showed, the move to the virtual and the move to the virtual ELEKTRA Museum, can you just in the clip you showed us, you spoke to some of the benefits, some of the reasons why we might want to engage. But I guess what I want to ask you is, were there reservations? Did you have were there reasons you were thinking to yourself, I don't want to do this? Or were there certain, I guess I'll just rephrase and ask, what aspects of that project are you most engaged by, or are you most excited by, or what opportunities do you think that presents that you're most excited by?
For me, I see that mostly an opportunity to show to the people around the world, those kind of works, you know, and to help the artists to after that bring the word of physical works around the world. For example, if somebody sees that. I'm really also interested by the idea of immersion. Immersion is a very different concept, you know. For me, it used to be mostly being in a place surrounded by screens, sound, smoke, and anything. But gamers, you know, when they talk about being to have a very immersive experience, it's really it's the game. Their head is inside the game, so that's why, you know, I thought let's create a very nice, well-looking museum. And I must say, you know, because we're checking everything that is happening in that field around the world, and we have somebody doing a post PhD in virtual museum right now in Concordia, and I know that, but she said that's the best one I saw so far. So so I'm really confident that it should be successful, interesting, and yes, of course, the idea is you're on the other side of the earth, but you can have an idea, you can see the exhibition, you can live it, and we have also some idea to develop this concept with VR, and but there's always a question of visual quality, which is not solved yet, but it's you know, it's moving. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I was thinking the links to VR, the kinds of opportunities that gaming might bring to the whole experience, I think must be interesting. And then I was also thinking it's exciting to be able to work with architects to imagine a building or to imagine a space, but not necessarily have to raise $100 million to build it, right?
Yeah,
so
and
oh, go ahead.
And clean it, and
yes, and maintain it, etc. No, fantastic. So,
yes, of course, it's yeah. So it's just the beginning. So we'll see where we'll go with that. And you were talking about archives. Also, we have this project, but we're still trying to find the funding, you know, to create a database of works of electronic digital works from Quebec Canadian artists, you know. So that's it's still in our how can I say, sleeve. Yeah, we're thinking about. It's a project we're still thinking about. I think it would be important to have something like that.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, there's a rich history there for sure. You guys have been building over the years. So okay, well, we're at 5:30. I don't know if there are other questions. Good. Yeah, is there anyone else who would like to ask something while we have Alain with us? Okay. Well, Alain, I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'd sure like to try and get up there and see the exhibition before it finishes.
Or the next one.
Yes,
we'll
the next one, absolutely.
Yes,
it would be great to organize a chance for students to make the trip to Montreal and see the next one. So
yeah, there's many things to see. We have the SAT, we have many good galleries, etc. as well.
Yes. Well, absolutely. So listen,
thank you for everything. It was a great invitation, and I hope to visit York and your labs soon.
Yeah, well, hopefully when things are open and you're back in Toronto, we'll have a chance to bring you up in person, and that would be fabulous.
Yeah, and if we could do maybe have a performance or something, would be great. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, we should chat about that with Jane as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.